So if you spend any time out on the water on your boat, you know one of the worst things for boats is to sit. So I'm pretty sure everyone probably knows that. So the one thing that I'm also going to add to that is the worst thing is also if you don't use the boat the way it's designed. So what I mean by that, and this happened to me, is I don't always go out fishing every time we go out. Sometimes we just go out cruise. We spent probably half the year just going out cruising. We didn't do a lot of fishing last year or over the winter. So we didn't use the boat, I'll say, the way it's designed. We didn't use some of the things. We didn't use some outriggers. We didn't use, I'll say, the fuel tank as much. We just cruise. So we're only getting 1-to-1. So when we're out there, we're not filling up 400 gallons. So same thing with fish boxes. Like, we didn't use the pumps. So if you're using your boat, but you're not using it the way it's designed, you might want to go through and actually check some things. So if you have a 150 gallon fuel tank, but you only normally put 20 gallons in, cruise around, go to a sandbar, come back, you don't really know that it's going to work properly when you fill up and you go over to Bimini. So that's actually what happened to me. So I'm going to talk about it and show you one of the things that I noticed on my fuel system and how you can prevent it. Yeah, so what happened when we went to Bimini is fuel started dripping out right here on the bottom and would go down into the tank, into the bilge. And luckily the bilge is very dry in this boat. So, but if I had a wet bilge, I would actually end up, eventually having fuel pushed overboard, which is something I definitely don't want. But what I want to do is I'm going to take the 3 nuts off and show you what this looks like and then get this cleaned up. All right, so got that off now. You see the gasket's a little nasty, so definitely had some dirt get in there. So it looks like maybe those 2 holes I think were plugged, but I do have 2 other holes, but they just don't line up with the cap. And the problem I have is drilling a hole into this piece. The inside of here is actually the fuel tank. So anything that gets in there is going to go into the fuel system. So that's what I'm trying to prevent. So I'm hoping that the gasket, if I clean this and then clean around the rubber O-ring, that will actually make a seal. So I'm not really going to know until I fill 400 gallons again into this to make sure that it actually makes a seal. So I'm kind of going to have to hope and then pray that it's gonna work. Yep, so what I'm going to do here is go ahead and clean up everything around the hole, get it kind of scuffed up, cleaned. I don't want any of this debris to get into the gasket or into the seal. So, and I know there's some caulk and putty in there, so I want to make sure it's just very clean. Using a tool and kind of cleaning around that. I put the rag in there just to make sure that everything, nothing fell into the actual tank itself. So I definitely didn't want anything in there. So after that, I got it all nice and clean, and then I went ahead and set the screws. I actually went to West Marine and grabbed 2 extras because I actually realized that there was an alignment issue with the part that I had put on originally. So I think what happened was I originally thought it would fit, and then when I started putting screws in, it was misaligned. So you can actually see that there is a small dot right there on the part, and then there's actually a small dot on the base. So if you line up that part or that dot on there, then the holes actually line up correctly. So after knowing that, I figured, hey, I might as well, if I'm going to make the gasket, I might as well go ahead and get 2 extra screws and do it right. Forget the fact that 2 of them are Phillips head and 3 are flathead. My OCD was okay with just spending 75 cents, so I didn't want to get all 5. But so I'm going to go ahead and put the gasket sealant on. You want to make sure when you do this, you just do a thin line. I actually ended up putting a little bit too much on here, but it's okay because it's going to press out. I'm not really worried about like it getting into an engine, into working parts. This is all basically going to seep out. Any extra will seep out and basically just be right there on the surface. So it's not like I'm worried about it getting into the fuel system or going anywhere. But you definitely want to make sure you're not using too much because you're basically just going to waste it. So I put one line on the part itself, and then went ahead and put a little bit thicker line on the base where the fuel tank actually is, and then went ahead and lined the part up and set it on there. So be careful when you do this. Remember to line up those little the little punch mark. That way, all of the actual holes do align properly. That was definitely a key that I had missed when I did the when I used that rubber gasket. So, and after feeling this after a little while, it actually became very tacky. So it was actually very nice. So I'm go ahead and line it up, looking to make sure that I actually do have the holes. So I want to go ahead and put in a screw and make sure I can find the one slot, and then go ahead and put the other screws in and just kind of go all the way around. So I wanted to make sure that I didn't tighten everything up. I wanted to just, run it down or run it snug, but I did not want to tighten it until it became tacky. So once it had about 5 minutes, I went ahead and tightened them up. So I really just, set them in there, let it sit. So if you guys do get anything from this video, do me a favor, give me a like or thumbs up. Let me know if you've had any issues similar to mine with your fuel sender. And I went ahead and just replaced it and did the dip. So just using a long dowel rod basically to dip the tank. So I'll go ahead and run the screws down. Again, making sure I'm not actually tightening them. I just want to make sure that the piece is kind of snug, and give it a couple minutes to dry up. All right, so just remember, anytime you're going to be using your boat, make sure you do run it to capacity every once in a while. If you make that big trip and you really don't ever fill up your tank, or use certain things on your boat, you might get surprises when you're actually fully loaded and you're running to the islands, or for a full day. So that's what happened here. So luckily I was able to make a simple repair, simple fix, but you just never know. So, and this is actually very common. So something to think about for next time. If you guys enjoy this video, so I'm also working on the engine down there, and I think we're doing fuel filters, or no, sorry, fuel injectors. So if you want to see that video, click on the link on your screen.